Hi, good morning. It's Dawn here at Stickletarn. 7:30 in the morning. Beautiful, beautiful day. Blue sky, sunshine. And I'm just making a start with the animal feeds. I've got a very, very poorly goat. Thelma. She is one of the original goats that we got nearly 9 years ago. So she's 10 now, and this past week she would eat a little bit of food, she wouldn't eat her food. We feed the females separate so they get what they need for the amount of kids they've got, or if they're not feeding kids or they're not pregnant or whatever. So they're shut in their stalls, so they're given their food. She was coming in for the food, a couple of the mouthfuls, and then not eating any more. And this sort of went on for about a week, and some of the feed times, because they're fed twice a day, she didn't want anything at all, but she could be seen out in the field grazing on forage, etc. So needless to say, over that week she dropped a considerable amount of weight, and then she became, the other day, what day? Today's Saturday, Wednesday, she started to become very, very weak, and took her in. I took her into the stall. Martin had gone away, and in fact Martin had been dealing with the goats and all the animals actually for quite a few days because of my hand injury, and didn't want to get it infected and that. And dealing with the animals was quite difficult. But Wednesday I took back over the role. I sort of blame myself because I haven't really been out to see her a lot. Yeah, when I did see her and I could observe her, I'm trying to get the sun out of the way there, observe her properly, I could see things were not right. I thought she was in quite a bad way, and I got her into the stall. She didn't seem in any pain. She's not in any pain or discomfort. She was very weak. She went down, and then she struggled to get back up to her feet again. Again, she wouldn't eat. So I made up a bucket of molasses and water for her, which she drank a fair amount of it. I tried offering her hay. No, she didn't want it. I came out and collected a great big bucket of forage for her, all different sorts. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so collected all these little tasty bits and everything for her, a big bucket full, took it in, and she wolfed it down. When I'd been checking her over, I noticed her milk had dried up, but the kids were eating hard food, and what are they now? Coming up to 10 weeks, so I'm not too overly concerned about them. I did separate them out to give her a bit of peace from them. Sorry, I'm just watching what a dog is doing over here. And yeah, so that night, and I thought, I'm going to come out in the morning and find she's gone. That's what I was expecting to find. I went back out about 10 o'clock at night and checked on her, gave her another load of greens that she wolfed down. Went back out Thursday morning early, and she was up on her feet. Great. Again, she wouldn't eat any of her goat feed, which does concern me a bit because that has got copper and etc. in it that goats need. And you know, and I was sort of trying to tempt her with it, but no, she wouldn't have it. She did not want goat food. She just wanted all the green forage. So all I've been doing is going out every day and collecting bucket loads for her that she is wolfing down. I let her kids go in with her for a little bit, because, you know, they do miss her. She's drinking water with molasses in. I've made up a mix of, because she's always had a bit of a problem with her legs. Well, the past few years she has, and this was going to be her last year of having kids. And the vet has always said, you know, it's arthritis she's got. And after having the kids and coming through a cold, wet winter, her, you know, she would be, her legs would be in a bit of a bad way. So it was decided that we wouldn't breed from her anymore. So I'm wondering whether that is the issue, although I don't know why she's not eating her grain. I don't understand that. Everybody else is eating it, so there's nothing wrong with it. I've made up a mix of turmeric and garlic and some other bits, DE powder and other minerals and that, to try and get minerals into her. And what I'm actually doing, well, she seems to like dandelions. She's loving dandelions, which she never used to eat before. So it's obviously something she needs. I don't know if you can see that mush in the bottom of the bucket there. What I did last night, because I want her to get back onto eating her mixed grain, etc. I took some of the grain and I mixed it with molasses to sweeten it. And she ate most of it. It was in with a bucket of greens as well, a small amount of greens. So what I've done this morning is I've mixed up some more grain with molasses and put some chopped dandelion in it. And I'm giving her that to eat first. And then I will give her a bucket of forage. She's got hay there, fresh hay. She's got water. She's got water and molasses. She's not grinding her teeth, so there's no, you know, no sign that she's in pain. She's not groaning or nothing. She does seem to be putting a bit of weight back on, which is quite good. All she's sort of doing is laying around in her stall. She does struggle. She struggles a bit to get to her legs, but she can get up. I know it's not good farming policy to keep an animal alive and spend so much time caring for an animal. But to me, Thelma, she's been with us. We moved in here in the July 2014. Thelma and Connie joined us in the October of that year, so they've been here from the beginning. And I worked out the other day, in that time she's given us 27 kids, which is a lot. 27 kids. Is that right? 27? Because she basically has triplets all the time. This year she had twins. Last year she had a single. But it's usually triplets she has. Maybe I've miscalculated that, but it's, you know, 9 years of breeding she's done. Yeah, I have miscalculated that. Yeah, I think it might be 23 kids, 23, 21, 23, something like that. But it's still a lot of kids. And of course the males they've raised for meat. The females we've sold on, and they're with other smallholders in the area. Her kids have always been nice and robust and good temperaments. She's of a good temperament. She's a very loving goat, and we've milked her as well. You know, I've had 7-8 years milk out of her, and she was the first goat I ever milked. So I do feel we owe her. I'm not ready to write her off completely. If she does recover from this, she'll never be bred again. Her daughter, Helen, which was the first kid born here, was the one that broke her leg, and Helen now hops around on 3 legs because she won't use the 4th leg at all. And Helen, of course, has given us kids as well. So I feel we owe Thelma. We owe her a lot. She's given us a lot. The least we can do is try our best from her. And if I can get her through this, you know, that she has a nice, healthy retirement. You know, she can just live with her daughter. We can set them up in another little field of their own. so there's no chance of it ever being bred from again. Yeah, so sentimental, yes, I am just an old sentimental, you know. I'm not, yeah, we raise animals for meat, we send them off for meat, but I'm not ready to write off an animal. I haven't had the vet out because I know if the vet comes out, the vet's going to say the best thing to do would be to have her put to sleep. I'm not ready for that yet, but if I see that she's suffering, that is what we will do. We will have her put to sleep. Anyway, I'm going to get on and feed them, and I'll do you a video and show you Thelma. Right, here is Thelma. She was over the other side of the stall last night, but she's decided to come over into this corner for whatever reason. She's tucking into that grain, dandelions, turmeric, garlic, molasses, etc., which is good because I'm not giving her anything else until she's finished that. So to me, she definitely seems to be improving. But as you can see, she's lost a lot of weight. She's very thin. So, although she's not as thin as she was, so I'm just, well, I'm sort of at a loss. I'm going to, I've got the two lads coming in to help this morning, and I want to get everybody's stalls cleaned out, because she's spending a lot of time lying down, and you can see where she's obviously been lying down and it's wet. So they'll help me move her, get her stall cleaned out. Thelma, what do you reckon? Oh, what have you done to your eye? You got something in your eye? Bit of straw. Right, I should come back and clean that then. That's what butI now. Yeah, so we'll get her all cleaned out today and get her all settled in a nice clean bed. Her daughter Helen is here. She's a lazy mare. She lies down and eats as well. As you can see, she's as flat as a house, even though she's on a quarter of the food that the other goats have. Yeah, so everybody's going to get cleaned out. And yeah, so I'm really glad to see her tucking into that. So I'm going to leave her to finish eating that, get all the other animals fed, collect her a big bucket of greens up, clean her eye up. I think she's got a bit of straw or hay in it or something from where she's been laying down. And then, yeah, we'll see how the day goes. So I'll come back and show you once she's settled in a nice clean straw bed. You see that's butI there. Oh, the light in here is terrible. Let me turn the lights on. Oops, there's butI there tucking into hers. She has the most amount of feed because she is feeding triplets. Yeah. So, and she's holding her condition well. This is Titch, who hasn't been bred from yet. She is Connie's daughter from last year, and it was Connie we lost. And there's all the little kids, all tucking into their breakfast. Right, back in with Thelma with a bucket of greens for her. She's got a mixture of dog rose, dandelion, cleavers, wild sorrel, plantain, ground elder, long pine needles, basically all the stuff goats like. I've just tried moving her along onto a dry bit of ground, but I can't move her on my own, so I'll have to wait for the lads to come in, and then we'll get her shifted. But she's quite happy to get stuck into all of that. Right, I just want to end up this video by saying, I know some of you will be wondering, why haven't I called the vet out? Why is she not getting the medical attention? Well, in the 9 years we've been doing this, because we're smallholders, not farmers, the experience we've had of any vets where we've had to have them out for the animals, the vet just says, no, put it to sleep, not worth dealing with. If it's an illness, that just seems to be the answer. You know, put it to sleep, or, oh, let's try this medicine, let's try that medicine, and they don't really know what is wrong. And of course, animals can't tell you. And we've had, it's not the vet bills, we've had horrendous vet bills before that we've happily paid, and at the end of it, we've still lost the animal. Because the vet doesn't really know what to do. I know farmers who do all this on a lot bigger scale. You know, they've got a sick sheep. It's either just left to die, or, you know, it's shot or whatever. Unless it's an actual injury that the farmer can deal with themselves, they wouldn't call the vet out for it. Unless, of course, it was a show animal of a specific breed and it was going to earn them a lot of money. They're really not. That is how farming works, and I understand that concept, because the bills we've had just dealing with the animals we've got, you know, you can't justify that. So I find the vets, because they're basically farm vets that come out to us, that is, you know, if they can't physically see what's wrong, there's not a lot of interest or a lot of advice on working with the animal to perhaps make it better or give it a better quality of life in the end of its days. For example, Fraser, our breeding bull, buffalo bull, when we got him, he was 6 months old, and he ended up being a head trauma from the 2 adult buffaloes he was in with. And he ended up having a massive seizure. We called the vet out, and he was unconscious for a couple of days. And the vet was saying, no, there's nothing they can do for him, you know, better off putting him to sleep. And all of this. Well, we didn't give up. We carried on working with him. We'd turn him regularly, get him up onto his feet using a hoist. We'd be syringing molasses and water into his mouth to keep him hydrated, hand feeding him. And after 4 or 5 weeks, I think, he managed to hold his own on his feet, and he's gone on to be a wonderful breeding bull. The vet bill for that was quite horrific, but again, they couldn't give us any advice on what to do with him or how to handle him, nothing. So that's one example. Another example, when Helen, Thelma's daughter, broke her leg as a little kid, and she was taken immediately to the vets, and they put it in a cast. I asked for it to be x-rayed. They didn't x-ray it. They put it in a cast, and we had to go back 2 weeks later, and they took the cast off and changed it for another cast. And when the cast finally came off and she wouldn't weight bear, when we actually had, and this was all costing us a lot of money, but, you know, to us, she was worth it. You know, we weren't going to let her suffer. And then it turned out the bit that they were actually putting the cast on wasn't the bit that was broken. The damage was up in her top joint, you know, between the top of the leg and the hip. The damage was up there, and they were casting the bottom of her leg. In fact, I've still got her little cast, and it's sitting here in the barn. And, you know, her little half cast. So she's ended up with a physical disability because, one, they didn't x-ray. They said, oh, their bones are too fine in kids, it's not worth x-raying. And two, it was a not to be disrespectful to the vet, but it was a vet who just started with the practice, who'd come from a small animal practice, and she was now dealing with large animals, and it was literally in her first week. So we then had, was it last year, year before, I had another little goat kid, injured its leg, took it down to the vet. They put a half cast on all the way up his leg. Again, they didn't x-ray, even though I requested it, they didn't. They put a half cast on and took him back a week later, and I said the top of the cast is chaffing his leg, cutting into his leg. I said, so I want it, you know, removed, redone, etc. And they redid it, and again it had a sharp edge on and it cut back into his leg. So after a few days I took the cast off, and it turned out his leg wasn't broken after all. It was a muscular injury, and he's perfectly fine and hops around on all four legs and, you know, recovered. Again, that was a massive bill. We had, let me see, was there another goat kid? Yeah, when Connie had her triplets last year, or year before, and we lost Connie 48 hours later. Even though I'd had the vet out, I knew she wasn't well, vet thought she was fine, etc, etc. 48 hours later, I found her lying there dead. And she had 3 little triplets. The little boy, I wasn't happy with him. I didn't like the way he was. I took him to the vets. She gave him loads of injections and everything. Again, a massive bill. And he died overnight. So, yeah, so, you know, we've had bad experiences with alpacas with the vets. So now I'm just very reluctant. She's not in, Thelma isn't in pain. I know she's not in pain. She's not grinding her teeth. She's not bellowing. I don't think it's an illness. I think it's her legs. I really think it's her legs that are the problem. And if we can't get the use of her legs back, then yes, I will have her put to sleep. But I'm not having the vet come out. One, I know straight away they're going to say, right, that it's not worth doing, put her to sleep, you know. She's an elderly goat, etc, etc. And 2, they wouldn't work with us or offer any suggestions or they couldn't offer us any medication or anything to help her. So, yeah, so I'm treating her herbally, treating her with compassion, doing what I can for her, taking plenty of forage in 3 or 4 times a day. When the lads come in this morning, I'm going to get them to help me lift her outside into the sunshine, so she can lay there in the sun for a bit, and while we get all the stalls cleaned out and all the water troughs cleaned, etc. And I do feel I have a duty to do the best I can for her. And I'm not dissing vets. If it was a laceration, yeah, they would come out, they'd stitch it. We've had bad experiences with dehorning. That was absolutely horrendous. Castrations, that was absolutely horrendous. You know, I can't say we've had, the only good outcome has been when Helen had her kids and she started hemorrhaging, her uterus tore, and I called the vet out and he said, no, best thing to do is put her to sleep and bottle rear the kids. Her uterus is torn. So I said, well, can't she have a hysterectomy? I said, because that's what you'd do to a woman, you know, if it was that badly damaged. And he said, no, they don't really do hysterectomies on goats. So, and I said, well, I want a hysterectomy on her. So he phoned ahead, they had the theatre prepped, and we rushed her down there. She was bleeding out. They did do a hysterectomy. Next day they phoned me up and they said, can you come and collect your goat because she's bellowing the place down. The kids were down there with her. The nurses had been milking Helen off her colostrum and bottle feeding the kids. I brought them back in the back of the car. So there was Helen and her 2 little kids We put the little kids under a heat lamp in a stall with Helen, and within 24 hours she was up on her feet feeding her kids. And that was a goat that the vets were going to write off. I've had a dog that the vets were going to write. I could go on, but I'm not. Anyway, that is my reason for, at this precise moment in time, not calling the vet out. I will only call a vet in an absolute emergency, or if I think it's best for an animal to be put to sleep. But that's me. Anybody disagrees with it, sorry, but that's tough. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to end there. I've got things to go and do. And I shall look forward to your comments. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell if you want notifications of when a new video is launched.